I'm glad to have you on. And I know yesterday we talked about this in the first segment, the podcast. You wrote a very nice note on Instagram, which was entirely unnecessary. I don't want to say apologizing because you shouldn't apologize, but I hope people see that we can have a disagreement and not hate each other. I think that's actually productive.
Yeah, and I think so too. And what I'd said to you before we started was that there's what I always try to do with a podcast is try to have a conversation, like two friends just hanging out. And that's what I tried to do at the beginning. And I felt like you kind of had talking points that you wanted to go over, and I wanted to make it more conversational. So I suggested we start drinking, and which was fine for a little while.
One would say you almost pressured me to begin drinking.
I would say that too. And then it got to the marijuana subject, and things got a little heated. And I make the mistake of oftentimes communicating like I would with my friends in what I think is just a joking but aggressive way. Yeah. And I didn't anticipate your reaction to it, and you got defensive. And one thing I didn't take into consideration that I wrote in the Instagram thing is that you get attacked a lot.
This is true.
You get attacked a lot in a kind of a scary way. And I think you've done some really bold things and some really, really courageous things, like the whole Muhammad thing. I mean, you didn't have to do that, and you did it. And it's a really dangerous thing. And you get attacked so much that you're always kind of thinking that someone's setting you up. And I didn't want you to think that I was setting you up, and I had no intention whatsoever when you came on to set you up. I genuinely like you. I think you're a good guy, and I like talking to you, and I like talking to you off air. And I was trying to kind of recreate off air, on air, and it didn't seem like it was happening at the beginning of the podcast, and so that's why I suggested booze.
Well, no, I appreciate it. And looking back kind of on yesterday, because if you look at kind of obviously the backlash, I think for both of us involved, what do you think, and I'll say, what do you think we should have done differently to be more productive, I guess?
Oh, we definitely shouldn't have gotten drunk, for me.
I wasn't drunk.
You weren't drunk.
I really wasn't drunk. No, I had one beer.
Okay. Well, you had a little whiskey too, right?
That stuff was awful, Gentleman Jack. We'll get you some real bourbon.
I kind of like the fact that it's awful. That was not, but also I think I need to get to know you better, like where you don't, and we both don't get weird over conversations like that. Well, we can't just look at facts and pull things up. And I didn't want you to think that Jamie was ganging up on you. And that's where things went bad, is that when you were stating something about the highway fatalities and it was contrary to what I thought was the case, and then we pulled up the facts, I didn't want you to think that we were ganging up on you. I just wanted to find out, was I wrong? Were you right? Were you wrong? Was I
not to revisit it? But can I bring up something that I didn't have time to yesterday?
Sure.
And this is something I think is important because, respectfully, Jamie's not experienced in sourcing articles or looking up news to the same degree that we are. So the very thing he brought up, I remember, and here's because I was talking about this earlier, my mental monologue. I thought, oh no, I've screwed up here, and that's what I said. You know what, Joe? I think you're probably right. I'll give it to you. And the reason why was because Jamie brought up factcheck.org. That was the main source he brought up.
No, he brought up Washington Post.
And it was originally from the factcheck.org was the source they were talking about. So there were a couple that he brought up. But I remember when he brought up factcheck.org, I saw it and I thought, oh, crap, because I've read that and we've written about that. And I remember thinking, you know what? I must have read that wrong because that's actually an article we've sourced. And it must have meant the opposite, because right below what he highlighted, it actually did say Gary Johnson was wrong. Increases in the incidences were significant. Marijuana-related traffic deaths increased by 154% between 2006 to 2014. This was in his source that he brought up. So my point is, I can't read it, right? And this is why I get defensive. I can't read it because this TV's not working. I can't know what Jamie's bringing up. I'm going on memory. He has a never-ending cheat sheet, and there's no way that I can argue with that. And I would say, you're right about this. I'm incorrect. When I get defensive, it was when two people are saying, admit that you're lying, that it's bullshit. And I really, looking at his own sources, I don't think I was.
Well, I don't think we were saying you were lying. What I think we were saying is you were incorrect. And I have read multiple things that said that the traffic fatalities decreased, particularly in Colorado.
Right.
Who's right or who's wrong? I don't know. I mean, we'd have to go seriously digging.
Right. But his own source said that's wrong, is my point. And in real time, I can't fact check him because I don't have a computer, right?
Right. And he brought up also that could also be attributed to the fact that the population of Denver, Colorado increased substantially once marijuana became legal as well. You have to factor that in.
Right.
I think when you're talking about driving impaired, I do not think that marijuana has the same effect as alcohol. It certainly doesn't. However, I don't think it's a good idea to drive f***ed up,
Right.
whether you're on marijuana, especially on edibles. I mean, edibles
Hold on a second. That wasn't even a part of the equation. I really would advise against that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we both dug in our heels and we agreed probably on a lot more than we disagreed.
I think you're right. I think we definitely both dug in our heels. And like I said, there's a lot involved in that. First of all, I got a hangover from this goddamn pipe that you left me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to send you an article on how to use it properly.
Oh, yeah. The tobacco, I was high as a kite from it, for sure.
From the tobacco?
Yes. Yeah. Before I even started drinking, my head was spinning. Because I definitely was inhaling a bunch of times.
You shouldn't do that. And I don't say that because of high. I said because you can actually get little flecks of tobacco in your lungs. That's not filtered.
Yeah, I just got here from a yoga class. I took a 90-minute yoga class. I might have coughed some of that up in there.
You might cough it up.
I might have, some little flakes of tobacco might have come out.
Why is Joe behaving like the girl from The Exorcist? And I would say this. I will say in my mind too. So I thought, well, did I screw up? And I looked back now, and we talked about it early in the show. I don't think I did. I don't back down the statements that I've made as far as my position. I don't think that you're wrong. My point is, if you look at the articles and how we sourced it, I knew we weren't bullshitting. And I know because, like you said, the left is always going, they're full of shit. This is a lie. I know, hold on a second. This went up. We had a AAA study, the fact check study. There's a difference between bullshitting and having a difference of opinion looking at interpreting data. And I wanted to make that clear because I will still say the jury can be out and you may be right. But it was certainly, I think, a study worthy of note. And then on my side, what I would change is because I know you're Joe Rogan, obviously. I mean, alpha brain, alpha male. I've seen you run roughshod over people who are like, well, okay, Joe. And they get scared. And I didn't want to be that guy because I knew you wouldn't respect that guy who just goes, okay. Maybe you would.
Well, I mean, I didn't want you to be defensive, if that's what you mean. I didn't expect you to dig your heels in. I didn't expect you to be submissive either. I just wanted to have a conversation. Yeah. It just didn't go well. You know, there's a bunch of factors. But it's only part of it that didn't go well, which is fascinating because we had a 5-hour podcast. I mean, that was a fucking long podcast.
Yeah.
And out of that podcast, what was it, like 20 minutes of it, we talked about pot. And that's all anybody is focusing on. That's
because that's what Jamie uploaded as a highlight, too.
No, he didn't. Did somebody upload it as a highlight?
Maybe somebody else did. I don't know.
No, I think somebody else did.
Yeah.
But either way, the conversations that we had before that were very civil.
Yeah.
And then we ended very civil, too. But I think people have this tendency to gravitate towards conflict. They enjoy it. It's like, have you ever gone to, I'm sure you have, you go to a fighter's page after a UFC bout and you read all the shit talk that people say to them? I mean, it's horrendous. I mean,
my favorite page is Mark Hunt's after his fights or something happens. You just read it. He's just like, fucking steroids, mate. Everything. It just goes in and he just they hang me out to dry. F the UFC. F you. F Brock Lesnar. You're sitting there like, Mark, just tone it back. This is going to be admissible.
That was Mark. I was talking about fans. I mean, fans like after like Ronda Rousey recently lost, I went and checked like some of her, like the online things, the things that people were saying about her. I mean, people love jumping in on something that really doesn't. They're not really connected to it, but they connect themselves to it. They love conflict where essentially nothing is at stake for them, but they can really get whatever rocks off they have.
And thank you so much for being here, sir. We appreciate it. I'm glad. Hopefully people see this and think, oh, okay, well, listen, maybe they don't hate each other.
Dude, I don't hate you at all. I think you're a good guy, and that's why I made that Instagram post. And I saw this back and forth both ways. People mad at you, people mad at me. It was just so stupid. And it was just, a drunken hiccup in a long conversation.
Hey, if you like this video, subscribe by clicking the button that says subscribe. If you're not aware of it now, there's no way you're learning the internet at this point. I'm not going to help you. But this was clipped from my daily show, available exclusively to louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub members. If you're student, military, or veteran, enter in that promo code. It's less than $6 a month, and you get daily content. No more clips, plus this hand-etched mug. Oh, when I feel it, I got a chill like on the inside.